Welcome back to Weekend Breakfast with me, David Bull. Thank you very much indeed for your company on this very fine morning, the last day of July. Yes, I was a bit shocked by that as well. Lots of messages coming in. I was talking to Renee earlier about mental health and our concerns that mental health isn't being taken seriously enough, and I think we need to do far more about that. Lots of messages coming in on that. David Perry says, mental health is an interesting issue. My worry is in today's society when we're being bombarded with nothing but bad news, do people think that when they're simply worried they have a mental health issue? Is it harsh to think sometimes we just need to man up? Good morning, doctors. This is, it doesn't have a name on it. Good morning, doctors. Talking about the mental health issues with the NHS. I served 10 years in the army and I spent 18 months in Afghanistan. I was medically discharged after breaking my back. 2 years after leaving, I was suffering inside, so I went to see my GP. They were helpful and I had a breakdown in front of them. However, the only thing they could do is offer the prescription medication and offer various talking services, which seems a strange thing to do. So I'm asking this morning about mental health. I'm really pleased we're talking about mental health. It affects many of us, and of course with lockdowns and the stresses and pressures and the fact the energy price cap is going up and people are really struggling to work out how on earth they're going to heat their homes and feed their children. Has your mental health suffered? Are you worried about the pressures and what it will do to you or indeed to a member of your family? Let me know. 0344 499 1000. Text the word talk and your message to 87222. You can also tweet us at TalkTV and tweet me at Dr. David Bull. But right now, let's have a look at this morning's papers. I'm delighted that Emma Wolfe is here once again. She's a writer, journalist and broadcaster. Good morning.
Indeed. Good morning, David.
Very nice to see you again.
Lovely to be here.
So, the papers.
In pink. Look at you.
What's wrong with that?
Beautiful. Lovely.
No, so it's
vibrant.
Thank you. Well, it's really interesting, actually. I was told off by a viewer the other day that I was wearing pink and he said it was disgusting. And I said I was very confident in my own masculinity. Thank you very much.
Oh, I think that's ridiculous. Men wearing pink has been around for a long time now. Pink is good.
Pink is good. Thank you very much indeed for that. Thank you very much for your compliment. And you have lovely stars. Right, let's start with your first paper.
So I chose the Sunday Express. There's lots of interesting headlines this morning, but the Sunday Express has this another increasingly desperate sort of policy idea from Rishi Sunak. He seems to be just coming out with any old thing.
We were just saying that, actually.
You know, they're sort of like, we'll do this, oh, and then we'll do that. So Rishi's now, his big idea is, I'll save the high street. I think this is an attempt to, A, save the sinking ship that is Rishi's campaign, and B, if this is his plan to save the high street, which is pretty dead, with Amazon, with whatever. I tried to buy some stamps yesterday. I don't often buy stamps. I tried to buy a first-class stamp to send off a legal document. It was impossible. There are no shops that sell stamps. No wonder the high street is dead. So, do you know what I mean? You can't. Post offices are full of people sending back Amazon parcels. And you go into Tesco and you ask for a stamp and they look at you like you're completely crazy. They normally do, but they ended up finding some second-class stamps at the bottom of a packet of, the cigarette packet.
Yeah.
The point is, the high street is dead, I think, because it's not offering the regular services that people need. So Rishi's idea is he's going to help with boarded-up shops, all those empty shops, 58,000 of them. He's going to punish hooligans, and he's going to stop banks closing cash machines. I just feel very underwhelmed by this big plan to save the high street. I feel as though we need a bit more than this.
That is not a plan.
That's not a plan?
No, it's not a plan.
That's a few ideas on the train on the way to the meeting.
I think if the three of us got together, we could actually come up with a better plan.
I know. I was listening to you then, Emma, thinking, well, what is his plan to get rid of the boarding up shops? But there isn't one. He's just going to do it.
Oh, the boarded up shops are going to be turned into cafes. Because we need more cafes.
But we don't.
Well,
the whole problem is that we know they're struggling as it is because people aren't going out. Because they're working from home, they're worried about COVID, they're still wearing masks, all the stuff that the government has rammed down our throats.
So we end up with more and more of these depressing, sort of ABC cafes, another sort of town centre cafes of people sort of maybe sitting there nursing one coffee for 3-4 hours to stay warm, whatever. It's not a plan to save the high street.
It isn't. I don't know what the answer is, actually. I'm also very worried about the demise of rural pubs, for example. The fact is people aren't going out because it's too expensive and you then buy it from the supermarket, but you've lost social cohesion. And there must be an argument to have social centres in the high street or multi-purpose units in the high street or even putting medical services, frontline medical services in the high street.
Easy to access. Let's think about the business rates that stop people actually going into shops, because they can't afford business rates. So they're not going to take one of these boarded up shops in the high street. That would be more of a plan, wouldn't it, than just cafes?
And it's everything. It's things like transport as well. It's people being able to get buses into town, that kind of thing, and all of those services being cut.
So you're not impressed?
Well, no, I feel as though it's a desperate campaign from Rishi and a pretty poor set of...
So interestingly, I was reading this morning, there's a poll by Savanta Conres. Now, this is Conservative Party councillors. Liz Truss on 31%, Rishi Sunak 29%.
And that's a lot closer than we've been hearing the last few days.
Undecided 32%. But actually, when you ask the very same councillors who they want Penny Mordaunt and Kemi Badenoch. So, I don't know what
I'm still devastated that Kemi has been knocked out. I think she was a really interesting candidate, really talented. I love the stuff she's coming out with today. She's speaking up about the Tavistock being closed. She's very, very strong on that. She's saying, you know what, when I was a minister, this is on the front of the Telegraph, when I was no, it's not, it's completely nice. Yeah, Times. She was told not to talk to patients of the Tavistock transgender clinic. She was basically shut down by the civil service. So she's very, very interesting, and I think they've lost a real talent. And she's refused to endorse either Rishi or Truss, which I think is pretty cool.
I thought that article was interesting from lots of points of view. One, she's very critical of the groupthink that goes on amongst politicians, and she actually says there are ministers who actually just take advice and they are puppets, and there are ministers like me who say, no, I want to do my own research, which I think is fabulous. She also says good things about Rishi and about Liz, but doesn't say which one she's backing. But she also is prepared to do something that lots of people are scared to do because of their careers, which is talk out about the gender ideology which is sweeping the civil service.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. We talked about Tavistock earlier in the week. We talked about it on the talk as well. And actually, it took someone, it needed someone really brave, didn't it? I'm so thrilled about that review because actually it came down, it was black and white, and I suddenly thought there's an adult here looking at this, and we've come out with very definitive actions, and it's been closed down. I mean, if you look at the numbers, it was 250 referrals 10 years ago, went up to 5,000.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
And look, adolescence is a time of uncertainty. It's a time of gender uncertainty, sexual uncertainty, uncertainty in feelings about one's body, about one's emotions, about one's sexuality. Totally normal. Absolutely. You're talking about mental health. We should totally be supporting children and young people through that process in whatever way they need. But giving them puberty, I mean, you guys are experts on it, but giving them puberty blockers, doing irreversible things, sterility, that kind of thing, during their adolescence and young adulthood, that is absolutely outrageous. And we should have called this out years ago.
Yeah, we should have done. Very, very well said indeed. Don't go anywhere. We have to take a short break. This is Talk TV. We're broadcasting live from the Talk Radio studios.